Sofia comes every June. First week school lets out, every single year since she was old enough to travel alone. She flies in from California on a Thursday afternoon. Bags too big for 1 week. Snacks she brought from home like I don't have a kitchen. She walks through that door and this house wakes up. That's the only way I know how to say it. This house wakes up. Maggie used to start cooking 2 days before Sofia arrived. Said Sofia needed real food after all that California health nonsense. Sofia would walk in, drop her bags right there in the hallway, and Maggie would already be at the stove, not even turning around yet. Just saying, "I know that's you, baby." And Sofia would wrap both arms around Maggie from behind. And they'd just stand there like that for a minute. Two people who loved each other in the easy way. The way that doesn't need explaining. This June, Sofia walked through that door. Bags too big, snacks from California, and the kitchen was quiet. She stopped in the hallway, right where she always drops her bags, and she looked toward the kitchen, and there was no smell of food, no sound of the stove, no Maggie. She looked at me, and I looked at her, and neither one of us said anything for a moment, because there was nothing to say that would help. I just opened my arms, and my 15-year-old granddaughter, who tries so hard to seem older than she is, walked into them like she was 5 years old and cried, and I held her, the way I couldn't hold myself when Maggie left, and I let her cry as long as she needed to, because that's the first lesson I've learned at 79. You can't rush grief. You can only hold it until it gets light enough to carry. Sofia stayed close to me that first day. Didn't want to go outside, didn't want to call her friends back home. Just sat in the living room, looking at pictures, asking me questions about ones she hadn't noticed before. She picked up a photo from the bookshelf, Maggie and me, before the kids were born, young in a way I barely recognize now. Sofia said, "Grandpa, were you always this in love with her?" I looked at that picture for a long time. I said, "From the first week I knew her. I knew she was the one I'd spend my life trying to deserve." Sofia was quiet after that. Then she said, "I don't think she knew how much we all loved her." I said, "Baby, she knew. Some people just carry love so naturally. They don't realize how much light they're giving off. Your grandmother was like that. She just glowed. And everybody around her grew toward it, whether they knew it or not." Sofia wiped her eyes, put the picture back exactly where she found it, and said, "I want to do something with my hands today, something real. I don't want to just sit here and be sad. Now, I've been a carpenter for many, many years. I've built houses, porches, staircases, cabinets that are still standing in homes across this county. But I hadn't touched my tools since October, since the keys, since everything got quiet in a way I didn't choose. My tools were in the garage, right where they've always been, waiting the way tools do, patient, no judgment, just waiting." I looked at my granddaughter, 15 years old, Maggie's eyes, Maria's stubbornness, and something that was just hers, something still forming, still becoming. I said, "You ever build anything before?" She said, I made a birdhouse in 7th grade. It fell apart. I said, well, we're going to do better than that. We went out to the garage. Sofia looked around at everything. The tools on the wall. The workbench Maggie used to complain took up too much space. Sofia ran her hand along the edge of it. She said, "Did Grandma ever come out here?" I said, "Every time I was out here too long, she'd come to the door and say, 'Earl, it's been 3 hours.'" Sofia laughed at that. A real laugh. The first one since she'd walked through the door, and I felt something shift in that garage. The way the air shifts right before rain. Something releasing. I found a good piece of cedar in the back. Cedar smells like memory if you've worked with it long enough. I showed Sofia how to measure, how to mark the wood, how to hold the saw steady and let it do the work. "Don't force it," I said. "The wood knows where it wants to go. You just guide it." She tried the first cut. Too hard. Too much force. She stopped, looked at me. I said, again, easier this time. Trust the tool. She tried slower, and the saw moved through that cedar like it was waiting for her. She looked up at me with those eyes, Maggie's eyes. We worked for 3 hours that afternoon. She measured wrong twice. I showed her how to adjust. She hit her thumb with the small mallet, said something she probably shouldn't say in front of her grandfather. I pretended not to hear it. Maggie would have laughed. By the end of that afternoon, we had the pieces of a jewelry box, not finished, not assembled yet, but real, cut from real wood, by her real hands. She held one of the pieces, turned it over, looked at the grain of the cedar. She said, "Grandpa, I made this." I said, "You did." She said, "With my hands." I said, "With your hands." She stood there, just holding that piece of wood, like it was something precious. And it was, because it was proof that she could make something from nothing, that she had that in her, that it was always in her, waiting for someone to show her the door. We finished the box the next afternoon, sanded it smooth. Sofia did most of the sanding. I showed her how to go with the grain, never against it. She said, "Is that a life lesson?" I said, "Everything in the garage is a life lesson." She laughed again. That laugh, Maggie's laugh, coming out of a 15-year-old girl in a garage in North Carolina, and I had to turn away for a second, pretend I was looking for something on the shelf, just for a second, just long. We work for some things catch you when you're not ready, and all you can do is turn away and breathe and remind yourself that hearing someone you love in someone else's laugh is not loss. It's the closest thing to a gift that grief ever gives you. My name is Earl, and I've learned that love doesn't disappear. It just finds somewhere new to live.